So, Minister, annually for the last number of years, the Meat Industry Ireland and the IFA are at loggerheads with regard to the annual dispute regarding beef prices. The IFA claims that prices are cut strategically. So happens every year. There was a protest there yesterday outside a number of retail markets in Maynooth. Is the department, are you, Minister, ever going to intervene in that row?
First of all, this year, on average, beef prices have been higher than they've ever been. This year, beef prices are higher, considerably higher than the European average, right the way through this year, even actually after the most recent price cut. They're still higher than the European average. It's not my job to set prices. It is my job to make sure that we have a functioning market, though. And that is why this year we have been very cooperative in terms of ensuring that we had a live cattle export trade to actually, as farmers would say, to keep factories honest. So in other words, if farmers weren't happy with the price that they were getting at the factory or in the mart, there was an outlet to actually export live animals. And the same goes for sheep. So we are in the business of trying to ensure that farmers get the most that they can from the marketplace in terms of beef. We've also introduced and supported schemes to ensure that farmers that are producing the best cattle in terms of conformation get the best prices. We've also introduced a quality assurance scheme, which allows farmers to get more for their animals. We've also introduced now a carbon footprint measuring model that'll be rolled out on over 32,000 farms by the end of this year, which in time, in my view, will be reflected in the price that they get for their beef also. So the idea that we're not in the business of helping farmers get more from the marketplace for their beef simply isn't true. What I can't do is I can't force factories to pay a certain price for beef.
So you can never intervene in that?
No, I do intervene to ensure that we don't have monopolies, that we have alternative outlets for our animals through live cattle exports, and to ensure that we are producing high quality beef and rewarding farmers for producing that high quality beef. That's what the Suckler Cow Welfare Scheme was about in many ways. That's what the current data transfer scheme is also about in terms of ensuring that we have the breeding data that we need.
But in terms of factory prices for beef and for sheep?
In terms of factory prices, people need to understand a number of things. We're still higher than the European average. We're below the UK prices, which is annoying farmers at the moment. And that is something that obviously they have a right to question. But people need to understand, Irish beef, 90% of it is exported. We have to compete in markets all over Europe and all over the world. We export to 170 different countries for beef. Practically every other producer in the European Union is just producing beef for their own home market. And so that's why Ireland, when you look at the prices of Irish beef, you have to understand that the price being paid for Irish beef needs to reflect the reality of the marketplaces where that beef is being sold. And yes, that's in the UK. Yes, that's in the UK. A lot of Irish beef goes to the UK, but it also goes to other markets across Europe. Every European country imports some Irish beef. And other parts of the world. So look, of course I would like to see Irish beef prices continuing to be higher and higher and higher each year. I want to see beef farmers getting as much from the market as they can. But the way to do that, in my view, is to keep improving the standards, to keep the sustainability audits rolling out so that Irish beef builds a reputation around the world as being a premium product with a premium price. And we've made huge strides in the last number of years in that regard. That is why, in my view, we now have prices being paid for Irish beef that is, 105 or 110% of the EU average, as opposed to 90 or 95% as it was in the past. Okay. We are doing as much as we can, but people need to be realistic. We cannot set prices in the factories. Other things that we can do, of course, around suckler beef in particular, is we can look at alternative supports through rural development programs under the CAP.
Does it concern you that a lot of suckler beef farmers are moving towards dairy?
There isn't evidence that there are huge numbers, but certainly there are some. There are some suckler beef farmers, particularly in the east and southeast of the country, who are very excited by the opportunities being offered through dairy expansion and through a removal of quotas. And they are doing that. But I hope that we will be able to put sufficient supports in place to ensure that we maintain a very healthy suckler herd. And obviously that's going to impact on decisions that we make in the budget and on decisions that we make in the future of CAP reform.